to the national championship year, facing North Carolina in the national semifinals and winning 66-58.
That was the retirement trip.
Ooh.
So basically, that was Coach Dean Smith's last game ever in Chapel Hill. So that the game that they defeated the Tar Heels, and then obviously Rick Pitino coached his last game ever for Kentucky, the game that they played Arizona as well. So yeah, both those games in the Final Four that year, both the semifinal and the championship game was the final coaching, the game coaching for those two Hall of Fame coaches at their respective universities. So yeah, I mean, they've only played, looks like a total of 7 times in history, not since 2007. I do remember the last few times Arizona did play them, and they had a home and home, I think, 05 to 06. And the Tar Heels were just super stacked at that point. I remember the first game out there wasn't much of a contest. The next game, the one that was here in Tucson, I was there. We went to, I don't even remember what bar we went to, but we tried to find a bar that opened at 7 a.m. because that, DK, you talk about early tip times. That game in McHale versus the Tar Heels in 2005-6 season, that game tipped at like 11 a.m. as well for East Coast viewers. So I remember that being really early. And Arizona, I think they were down something like 30-10 in that game. So it's been a minute. They haven't played much against the Tar Heels they haven't played at all in the last 15 years.
Yeah, so that, again, we're getting ahead of ourselves. But just to think of those two programs with a chance to hook up for an opportunity to go to the Final Four is something very exciting to look at. You mentioned that home and home. They played in Chapel Hill in 2005-6 season, losing 86-69. And then it looks like was it the year before they were here? Or
06-07 is when they were in Tucson, yeah.
Yeah, 06-07. They played here in Tucson. I'm looking for, and they lost 92-64. So, but again, I think these are just interesting that you don't be considering the fact that they've played a couple of games deep into the tournament that meant something. Doesn't seem to be as much of a fervor when you hear about from Arizona Wildcats alums in terms of North Carolina versus the Wildcats, as we hear with U of A and Duke. And like you said, that's because I think of the legend of the Duke Blue Devils program and Coach K and maybe more recent meaningful matchups like the one in 2011 in the Sweet 16.
Yeah, and also they won those games against the Tar Heels in the tournament.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm right with Coach Lloyd and everybody else. I'm all about the Clemson Tigers. I understand the national media's fixation with Caleb Love. They always try to make stories this time of year that aren't naturally developing stories. So clearly, Mr. Love coming over here by way of Michigan is going to be because there's a potential. But I'm more worried about P.J. Hall myself.
Yeah. It's a guy to be worried about, for sure. I may be more worried about Chase Hunter. Chase Hunter can shoot down some threes.
Chase Hunter's been playing great. I only say P.J. Hall because, P.J. Hall is the epitome of the kind of guy that Arizona struggled with the last few years.
Yes.
If they invert the offense, he averages a center, 18 and 6 rebounds is his average on the year. But he's taking almost 5 3-pointers a game, DK. And in the past, inverted offenses bringing Ballo away opens up driving lanes. You've seen how effective Oumar Ballo has been at the rim defending against drives. So I don't know exactly what Clemson will do, but many teams that have a big like that, a stretch 4 kind of player who can effectively bring a big away from the basket have chosen to do that versus Arizona in the past. We'll see what ends up happening tomorrow. But P.J. Hall is that guy who has the range, the experience. Obviously, he's a fourth-year senior. I like their roster, DK. I like the fact that they do have a couple of transfers, but almost everybody in the rotation was recruited to, signed with Clemson, and has stayed there for the duration of their careers.
Brad Brownell, who has willed his team. They lost 3 out of 4 down the stretch, but they have gotten hot when it counts in the tournament. Once again, doesn't necessarily mean you got to be trending up and playing well at the end of the season, although you'll hear from them coming up here in the show today. And the players, just to kind of paraphrase some of what you'll hear, felt like even though they were losing some of those games down the stretch, that they were playing well, that they were playing some of their best basketball. They just didn't win those games. So sometimes you maybe don't get the outcome on the court that you feel like you want to get, but you're going and still trending in the right direction for what you need to do when you get to this point of the season.
Yeah.
In the one and out kind of mentality.
They lost 3 of 4 to end the year, including getting blown out in the ACC tournament, and I think that's what people look to. But they also went 6-4 in their last 10 games. 10 games out. The last 10 games of the season is a good barometer. You look at their losses. They lost by 1 point to NC State, 7 to Notre Dame. Those are both. I'm sorry. Notre Dame was on the road. NC State was at home, and then they lost by 5 points to Wake Forest at Wake Forest before getting blown out to Boston College. So I just look at the roster with a bunch of seniors. You talk about the 2 guards, 2 forwards, upperclassmen, and mentioning that they've been there other than, I'm sorry, what's the name of their guard who transferred in?
Gerard.
Yeah, Gerard. Gerard coming over from Syracuse this year for his fifth year. All those guys, DK, have played together for extended periods of time. So they know each other's tendencies, like we always talk about with Mr. Ifan on the pre- and post-game shows. Players who get a chance to get to know each other and how each other likes to catch the ball in their shooting pockets, so forth and so on. If they have more of a tendency to cut or to flare out to the corner, whatever those tendencies may be, a split-second decision-making at this level, DK, knowing your friends, knowing your brothers that are suiting up with you on the court is super important this time of year. So scary team to be connected, and they've been playing well through the first couple of rounds for sure.
All right, so we've got a lot coming up for you on this show today. Brian Jeffries is going to join us from Los Angeles. Press conference day, practice day for all the teams out there. We'll get Brian's assessment. John Court also going to join us. U of A Gymnastics, the Gym Cats, getting set for regionals as they have qualified for that this year once again. And I don't think they're in the play-in round this time, or I call it the vault-in round, which they've had to vault in the last 2 years as one of the final teams to make the field, but not so much this year. You'll hear from Caleb Love, as I mentioned. Also, first day of Arizona spring football was yesterday, and we'll hear from Brent Brennan for the first time since we had a chance to interview him shortly after he was hired here back in January. Also, U of A baseball, we were out there yesterday. Unfortunately, that did not go well. In fact, I left when they went into a lightning delay in the 3rd inning. Arizona was losing 9-1. They end up losing that game 12-9 to fall to 10-13 on the season. So we'll rehash that game a little bit for you as well. Joining us is the 3rd member of our program, Cricket. Okay, so I went to see a cover band last night.
Okay.
Down at the Rialto. It's called Rumors ATL.
Oh, the Fleetwood Mac?
Yes.
How
Fleetwood
were they?
Mac. They were good. I thought they were pretty good.
You
My wife is a huge Fleetwood Mac fan. In fact, I got scolded because I talked about my wife yesterday when, in terms of the roof not closing at Chase Field and how she was up there for the Billy Joel concert. Well, first of all, I said the concert was in October. She said, no, it was in December.
Yeah.
And then 2, she says, I wasn't up there to see Billy Joel. I went up there to see Stevie Nicks because it was, the Stevie Nicks, Billy Joel concert together. So I'm the huge Billy Joel fan. That's why I remembered the concert, because that was my guy growing up. I used to love you just the way you are. That was my song back in the day. That was like literally my number one song probably for most of my life. Exactly. So I went and saw this cover band last night. And all they do is Fleetwood Mac songs, right? And it got me thinking that I've only twice really seen a cover band that just does one singular group. Like I saw on New Year's Eve a few years ago, I saw a Prince cover band. All they did was Prince songs. And this I think was the second time I'd seen like a true full-on. I mean, I've seen a lot of cover bands where they do a number of different stars or bands songs, but not just one band.
Yeah, right.
So I wanted to find out from you two, is there like one particular cover band that you guys have either seen or would love to say, I'd love if there was a singular cover band for this group?
I still want to see the One Night of Queen. I never saw that.
One Night of Queen.
And they do all Queen songs.
Okay.
Yeah, it would have to be something like that. I mean, the cover bands that are become famous are the ones that cover super specific styles or sounds. And nobody sounds like Freddie Mercury. You know, bands like the Grateful Dead, for instance, like there are certain very specific sounds that don't sound like other bands. I don't really have one that comes to mind. I would love to go see the original Fleetwood Mac. Do you know the story of the original Fleetwood Mac?
I've probably been told it, but go ahead.
There's a very famous guitarist. His name was Peter Green, and he was voted as the best guitarist in the world for 30 consecutive years. And 29 of those years, he was retired. He didn't do anything.
Wow.
And that's because he played with
really good.
the Yardbirds with Eric Clapton. Eric Clapton was leaving the Yardbirds. They came to him and they said, "You want to start a band? We're going to call it the Peter Green Experiment or something." And he's like, "Nah, let's name it after my buddy Mick Fleetwood." So they named the band Fleetwood Mac, despite the fact that Peter Green was the star. And their first 3 albums, it's all blues. It's all completely different than the Fleetwood Mac that people know today when Stevie Nicks joined and all of that. But yeah, the original, Peter Green's one of my favorite guitarists. My dad used to say he had the best guitar voice of anybody ever. So yeah, genius guitar player. I would like to go see that band if I had to pick.
It kind of just you saying that it was completely different from the Fleetwood Mac that everybody knows. That kind of reminds me of like the Doobie Brothers. The Doobie Brothers kind of began as this one kind of rock and roll type of band, and then they kind of merged into this jazz fusion band that I kind of fell in love. Although I love both sides of the Doobie Brothers. There's a bunch of their original songs that I love, as well as when Michael McDonald joined the group. But it's amazing how that happens, how a group can kind of start in one genre and completely change over to something that's absolutely different.
You know that famous Santana song, Black Magic Woman?
Yeah.
No. That's a Peter Green song.
Original Fleetwood Mac
and Santana covered it. Yeah.
All right. Well, Cricket, I hear you might have something to give away a little bit later.
Is it Fleetwood Mac tickets? No, I'm kidding.
I don't think they're traveling.
I don't think
the original group is traveling anymore.
I think that you're right.
I would love to see them in concert now that I'm married to such a huge.
No band hates each other like Fleetwood Mac hates each other.
We talked about that. We talked about that last night. How she was saying, they kicked Lindsey Buckingham out of the group.
Yep.
So yeah, that's not
good.
Well,
Lindsey Buckingham got Stevie Nicks in the group because they were dating at the time. And Lindsey Buckingham's like, "I got my girl Stevie over here. Why don't you ask her to join?" And Stevie Nicks is in Fleetwood Mac because Lindsey Buckingham was dating her at the time.
There you go.
Oh, so dramatic.
Yeah. And
all of the songs, too. All the songs on Rumors are about them breaking up.
Yeah. So I'm asking the whole show, I'm like, so who's this person right here? Like, who is he supposed to be? Who's she supposed to be? Oh, that's Christine McVie. All right, so that's kind of like how it was last night. Well, who's the guy in the back? Oh, that's Mick Fleetwood, is the drummer, I guess. He was the drummer of the group, right? So that was the whole night. Was me.
You can't miss him. He's like 6'9".
Who's that guy playing over there? Yeah.
Mick's like 6'9". You can't miss him. He's a tall guy.
All right, so Cricket will be back in the 5 o'clock hour. She's got something to give away, so be sure you come back and stick around for that. But first, she's going to get you home with the traffic.
All right, from the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather together. With collisions reported at the Ajo-Kino connection, little bit of westbound slowing there. Hit and run wreck, Cortero at I-10 and a crash, Grant Road in Alvernon. Miracle Mile at I-10 has stalled a vehicle. 48, the overnight low with clear skies, and 80 tomorrow and sunny now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather together.
This report is sponsored by Jackson Hewitt. It matters who does your taxes.
Why are people saying "Hew yeah" to Jackson Hewitt? When you switch to Jackson Hewitt, they will beat what you paid last year on tax prep, even if you filed online. Proof of prior year payment required when filing. New clients only at participating locations through April 7th. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com.
You hear it all the time. Lawyers talk about all their experience. Many years of experience with insurance companies, and experience in the courtroom. But what they're not talking about is their results. Maybe they don't have any. At Lerner & Rowe, we're proud of our results because that's how we measure our success. We've helped over 150,000 people recover billions of dollars for their injuries, with over $1 billion just in the last 5 years alone. When you want results, call Lerner & Rowe.
Lerner & Rowe is the way to go. Call 977-1900.
Summer of 93, 76 days over 100. Summer of 23, the hottest on record.
We can't change the weather, but we can change your comfort.
Alaskan AC introduces the Grizzly.
The only air conditioner built for Arizona summers. It'll claw down hot temps.
The Grizzly.
This is getting intense.
It eats Arizona summers for breakfast.
Then it spits them out at lunch.
Wait a second.
The Grizzly claws the competition.
Tears them apart. Do another one.
pounces on heat like it's a salmon spawning and rips it apart.
Like a salmon
Then
spawning?
it takes a pirate sword and stabs high temperatures.
Hold it.
Aw, it was just getting good.
Folks, we designed a new air conditioner made to handle the heat and dust of Arizona summers. We call it the Grizzly.
Yeah.
Take it easy. It's tough as a grizzly, but gentle on your budget.
That pirate sword?
Before summer gets blazing, learn more about the Grizzly at AlaskanAC.com.
Caruso's, a Tucson tradition since 1938, located on historic 4th Avenue. For 4 generations, Caruso's handmade sauce has been prepared with love by a family member, using only the best ingredients. Enjoy specialty Italian dishes like lasagna al forno, chicken tetrazzini, real Italian sausages, spectacular pizza, as well as many vegetarian options. Caruso's offers outdoor dining on their garden patio with indoor dining also available. Open Tuesday through Sunday, with all your favorites available for takeout. For more information, call 520-624-5765 or visit their website at carusositalian.com.
Old Pueblo Harley-Davidson is the pre-owned inventory destination with hundreds of pre-owned Harley-Davidson motorcycles to choose from. Save $2,000 or even $6,000 at Old Pueblo Harley's pre-owned clearance sale. Now through the end of the month, Old Pueblo is accepting 100% of all credit applications with low financing options available. Take a test ride and receive a free dealer tee. Only at Old Pueblo Harley-Davidson or online at oldpuebloharley.com. Some restrictions may apply. See dealer for details.
Southern Arizona Radiology Associates have been dedicated to providing superior images and quality care for the last 35 years. They're the one you trust when you need an X-ray, CT scan, ultrasound, mammogram, or MRI. They have locations in Tucson, Green Valley, and Sierra Vista. Ask your doctor to refer you to Southern Arizona Radiology Associates today. That's Southern Arizona Radiology Associates. Visit their website at sararadiology.com or call 520-335-6849 for more information.
My heat and air were in a state of disrepair.
If there's a hot spot in your house, you may have leaky ductwork. The Department of Energy says 95% of homes do. Those leaks can pull in dirt and humidity. I'm Ron Arenas, the owner of Picture Rocks Cooling. Ask how we can tackle those leaky ducts and keep cool air in and dirt and humidity out with AeroSeal. Call Picture Rocks at 520-440-4069.
Picture Rocks Cooling, heating and plumbing.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
I thought learning a language would be too much work, but Babbel makes learning fun. J'aime Babel.
Babbel's lessons only take 10 or 15 minutes, and soon you turn and realize, hey, I'm starting to speak another language. How'd that happen?
Babbel isn't robots talking. You learn words and phrases from real native speakers. I was ready for real-life conversations in just a few weeks. So easy.
Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
520-848-1290, 520-848-1290. You can call us at that number. You can text us at that number. We're getting set to talk to one of our Arizona insiders here. He is known as the voice of the Arizona Wildcats, Brian Jeffries, and let's hear from Brian.
It's time for your Arizona Insiders.
Oh, sweet.
Each weekday, Wildcats Radio 1290 brings you all the latest news and opinions of U of A basketball. So bear down, Tucson, and let's talk Arizona basketball. Our Arizona Insiders are brought to you by Coors Light, official corporate sponsor of Arizona Athletics. There's nothing like game day in Arizona.
Coming to you live from Los Angeles. He was at Crypto.com Arena today as the Arizona Wildcats practiced ahead of the Sweet 16 matchup against Clemson. Brian, paint us a picture of the vibe today in Los Angeles.
Well, I think everybody's excited to be here. You're one of the 16 teams remaining in this tournament. I think when the season started, there were about 360 teams playing Division I basketball, 16 remain, and so you can't help but be excited if you're a player or a fan to be at this juncture with a chance, to get to the Elite Eight on Saturday. But of course, you got to play them one game at a time. So I get the impression the guys are well rested. They were able to get home, of course, a little earlier maybe than these other teams did in terms of travel. They had the shortest travel of the 4 teams that are here. And so for that matter, I think it's a great situation to be in. And as Tommy Lloyd said today, it's kind of like a regular season game. You play Thursday, and of course, in this case, you hope you play Saturday, but that would be like any Pac-12 weekend. So I think the guys are in good shape, good spirits, ready to go. It doesn't guarantee they're going to win the game, but you can't ask for a better setting in terms of being prepared and being in a good position to get a victory.
I know, Brian, we've talked about that every year in terms of the fact that these tournaments are set up Thursday, Saturday, Friday, Sunday, and it's very similar to what, the Wildcats have experienced within conference play. Some of these other teams maybe have a different structure in terms of how they go about their regular seasons. Have you found that there's an advantage there? Maybe what other teams have said about how they try to adjust to this format?
Well, I think most of it has to do with travel, probably not as much the regular season. I mean, there may be some truth to the fact that a lot of these conferences don't play, 2 games in 3 days, that usually they're spread out a little bit more. But they've all played in conference tournaments where they're playing game after game after game. And so, like North Carolina State, for example, have played, and won 5 games in 5 days. And so I think that gets you prepared for a situation like this, and probably a luxury if you played in a conference tournament and played more than 2 games in a row, because now you get a day off in between games, at least if you win the Sweet 16 contest. I think it more comes back to the travel and how to get here. And you take a look at Clemson. I mean, they played in Memphis on Sunday. They flew home. They were home for about 12 hours and then took the cross-country trip here to Los Angeles. And their coach said today, he says, our practice wasn't very good yesterday because, we didn't have our legs. And you can understand that after, that type of travel. Arizona was home on Saturday night, and we flew in yesterday evening, and, it's an hour flight from Tucson to Los Angeles. And so, they were in their hotel rooms here by, I think we were probably here by 5:30 or 6. And, you just feel a lot more refreshed and ready to roll. So I think that might have more to do than, what the season has gone on in terms of the scheduling.
Brian Jeffries, the voice of the Wildcats, is joining us from Los Angeles, Arizona, and Clemson in the Sweet 16. And Brian, we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves in looking ahead, but I did want to ask you something that Jay and I were talking about in the opening segment, and that is how there's so much talk in this fan base and around this program as it relates to Arizona versus Duke, but you don't necessarily hear that much as it relates to Arizona versus North Carolina. And these are 2 teams that have played some pretty important ball games across the history if we get to that point on Saturday.
Well, I mean, the first one that comes to mind, of course, was 1988 when Arizona beat North Carolina at the Kingdome in Seattle. That was the regional championship game, and that put the Wildcats in the Final Four for the first time in school history. So you can start right there. And then, of course, you go to 1997 when they beat them in the semifinals on their way to a national championship. They played a home-and-home schedule before. They played on neutral courts before. And so, I mean, it's it's a rivalry between 2 teams that are on opposite sides of the country, but and yet have captured the imagination of college basketball fans everywhere because of their success. And North Carolina, is one of the most successful college basketball programs in history. And there's a line drawn there because, I was talking to some of their guys today, and they were, going through, I mean, they've won 6 national championships, been to the Final Four 21 times, most of any school. I could go on from there. But I think just from a college basketball fan perspective, these are 2 teams that, maybe ought to play more often because of their status in the sport. But, they've had some big games before. And if they do meet on Saturday, and I say if, then that's going to be very well anticipated. The guy, I felt kind of sorry for him today because Caleb Love was surrounded by media in the locker room today, and they were all North Carolina media because, they're anticipating that possibility on Saturday. And, of course, he doesn't want to talk about that game because they've got another one tomorrow, and if they don't win tomorrow, then there won't be that return game or whatever you want to call it coming up on Saturday.
Well, when you look at the Clemson Tigers, Jada brought up the point that P.J. Hall is the kind of big man that could really cause problems for Arizona because of his ability to step away from the basket, bring Umar Ballo away from the basket. He can hit the three-point shot on occasion, and really how that maybe potentially could open up Clemson's offense to attack the Wildcats. How do you think the Arizona deals with that in this game?
Well, I'm gonna say it's almost a carbon copy of what we saw last weekend against Dayton, because that's exactly how Dayton tries to run their offense. I mean, it's certainly not a similar team, but Deron Holmes, their big guy, he put up I think 4 3-pointers in that game, and he's a guy again that can step out. And PJ Hall is exactly the same way. Now they're different players. Hall is not nearly as mobile. Now he's got great footwork, but he's not as mobile as Deron Holmes was. So it's every team's different, and this is a different set. But the thing about North Carolina, along with Holmes, or I should say Hall, at his size at 6'10" and about 240, he's got 2 other guys inside with him that are not quite as big, but they are plenty big. And so that whole front line, I think, is going to be a real key to this. They talk about guard play in the tournament, but I think Arizona's front against Clemson's front is going to be a real key factor. And Hall's also, had some foul issues. He was asked about that today, and Umar Ballo is very good at drawing fouls, and that's, something that Tommy Lloyd works on all the time. And so, you don't know how the game's going to be called, but it wouldn't hurt if Arizona could get him into foul trouble.
Brian Jeffries, the voice of the Wildcats, is our guest. Arizona-Clemson in the Sweet 16 on Thursday. Brian, last week, one of the things we were talking about as it relates to Umar Ballo is just maybe his aggressiveness has kind of come out a little bit more on the defensive end. We're starting to see him block more shots. Curious as to why you think that is, because we really didn't see that from Umar early in the season.
Well, I think it's just a matter of, as the season has gone on, I think he's, physically better than he was at the beginning of the year. And you give a lot of credit to Chris Rounds and his work in the weight room. And that's why these guys have stayed healthy this year, knock on wood. And also the other thing is he's a senior. And I think every senior this time of the year, they know it's their last go-round. It's their last chance. And it's not that they haven't tried to play hard previous to that, but there's that extra incentive there. I think you see Pella Larson going through the same thing right now, and Caleb Love and Keyshawn Johnson. I mean, they all know that this is their last chance at this, and they're going to leave it all on the court. And Pella talked about effort today. He said that's what's going to decide the game on Thursday is effort, which team can put out most. And when you have an older team, I think they understand that probably a little bit more than a younger team. And so we'll see how it pans out, but. Both these teams, they have some similarities, but at the same time, obviously, they've got differences, and I think it's going to be a great matchup. You look at it on paper, and you say, there's a reason why they both got here, and I'm looking forward to see how it runs out tomorrow.
You obviously travel with the team, Brian. If you got a chance to kind of maybe get to know Pella a little bit, and what's he like away from the court?
Well, probably a lot like he is on the court. He's very steady. Very mature, very level-headed, doesn't get too high or get too low. I think that's one thing I've noticed about him this year is that, like everybody, he's had a bad game here or there. And when you see him after the game, he's not hanging his head. He's not sulking. He understands there's another game to play and that he's got another chance to get himself back where he was, prior to that bad game. And I think that's one thing that stands out more than anything, being around him. Where some guys it's hard for them to shake a bad game, but that's not been his case. And I think again just his experience and all the games that he's been through, that he understands that that's part of it. It's you play a lot of basketball games, over 30 games now, and if you dwell too much on one, be it good or bad, then it can affect you down the road. So. I would say steady. That's probably the best way to describe Pella.
Brian, this is something we really haven't necessarily talked about at length, but with the move next year to the Big 12 and kind of maybe, a shifting of Arizona from the West more to the middle of the country, are they still going to be considered, you think, a top seed in the West with the good teams, or could we eventually see Arizona teams be the number one seed in the South or one of those other regions outside of the West?
Well, if you're a top 4 seed, the way the committee has worked is that they're going to keep you as close to home as possible if they can. And now a lot of it does come down to seeding. So they will look at that once they put that 1 through 68 or 1 through 64, however you want to look at it. Once they put that, I call it the S curve put together, then they start at the top with the number 1 seeds and say, because you are a number 1 seed, we're going to, if at all possible, and I think almost without a doubt it happens this way, you're going to be as close to home as possible. And that was Arizona. They went to Salt Lake. Let's see, North Carolina went to Charlotte, etc. That's just the way they like to work it. And, of course, the sites are different every year. But to answer your question, I think Arizona would still be, if they're a number 1 seed, they would still be in the West. They would keep them as close to home as possible, no matter where those West sites are down the road. You can always be a high seed in another region, like the Wildcats were a couple of years ago when they were the 2 seed in the South, and that's just kind of the way it worked out. But remember, with the pod system, they still got to play that first weekend in San Diego.
Yeah.
So again, it goes back to the fact that they try and keep you as close to home as possible if you're a top 4 seed.
All right, Brian, your biggest key to a victory for Arizona?
Well, I think it's battling that front line of Clemson between P.J. Hall, who I think has just had a tremendous season, Ian Shefflin, who some people look at as just kind of the face of the team, but the guy's 6'8", 240, and he can play. And I think the other guy to look out for is Jack Clark. He had some injury problems earlier. He's back in the starting lineup. He's 6'10", about 210. And so there you've got 3 guys that you're talking about that, have size inside. And then, you match that up with Arizona. And then let's just say, for example, that Umar and P.J. Hall are battling each other. Okay, now you've got Keyshawn Johnson against Jack Clark at 6'10", which means then Pella Larson might be guarding a guy who's 6'8". And that's where Clemson would have an advantage height-wise. Now, that doesn't mean that it's going to work out that way, and Tommy's going to change some guys up in terms of, who they guard, etc. But I think Arizona's versatility in guarding some bigger guys is going to come into play. We saw that last weekend when Keyshawn was playing the 5 a lot against Dayton, that he could handle himself just fine. And so those guys will be switching off. But I think Arizona's ability to limit those 3 are really going to be a key. Not that they can back off the back court because they got a couple of guys there in Chase Hunter, who's having a great season, and Joe Girard, who's having his best season, the transfer from Syracuse. And so Clemson's a really good team, and everybody is right now. You can sit around and find weaknesses with every team, but I tell you what, if you got here, that means that you're playing your best basketball right now.
All right, it is the Wildcats and the Tigers. Tip-off at 4:09 on Thursday. Brian Jeffries will have the call with Ryan Hansen. Brian, you guys have a great call.
All right, thanks, David.
Brian Jeffries, the voice of the Arizona Wildcats.
Thanks to Coors Light for bringing you today's Arizona Insiders on Wildcats Radio 1290. Coors Light, official corporate sponsors of Arizona Athletics. There's nothing like game day in Arizona.
Getting you home every 20 minutes on the 5s with your traffic and your weather. Here is Cricket.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic. With a collision in Oro Valley, McGee near Oracle on McGee west of Oracle at McGee and Northern Avenue. And road work along Greasewood Road between Speedway and Ironwood Hill Drive will be complete at the end of this month. Expect some travel restrictions and possible slowdowns. And I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic.
This report is sponsored by Staples Stores. Staples Print Big Sale means the more you print, the more you save. Get $20 off your print purchase of $100 or more, $50 $50 off your print purchase of $200 or more, and $100 off your print purchase of $300 or more. Offer ends 4/6. See staples.com/print for details. Print more, save more at Staples.
Celebrate Easter at the Park Place Mall with fun for the entire family, including the four-legged members. Get your photo with the Easter Bunny. Join in the mall-wide Easter egg hunt all month long. And don't miss the Doggy Easter egg hunt during Yappy Hour, March 28th. Learn more at parkplacemall.com.
For more than half a century, contractors and trade professionals have relied on WeatherGuard for heavy-duty truck and van storage equipment, not just to protect their valuable tools, but to protect their professional reputations. For pros, the WeatherGuard badge makes a statement about what drives them. It says, "Bring it on. Been there. Done that. We've got your back," without saying a word. And the folks at WeatherGuard, they're just as driven as the hardworking pros they serve. See what it means to be driven at weatherguard.com.
Hi, you know me, Scott Lehman from ScottSaysYes.com. Check out this month's Wildcats Radio 1290 Community Calendar powered by Premier Auto Center.
Visit the Wildcats Radio 1290 Community Calendar at wildcatsradio1290.com to find out what community events are coming up in the Tucson area. You can also find Wildcats Radio 1290 events, upcoming sporting events, and more. Get the details and get involved with our community at wildcatsradio1290.com.
Go to ScottSaysYes.com today.
Summer of 93, 76 days over 100. Summer of 23, the hottest on record.
We can't change the weather, but we can change your comfort.
Alaskan AC introduces the Grizzly.
The only air conditioner built for Arizona summers. It'll claw down hot temps.
The Grizzly.
This is getting intense.
It eats Arizona summers for breakfast.
Then it spits them out at lunch.
Wait a second.
The Grizzly claws the competition.
Tears them apart. Do another one.
Pounces on heat like it's a salmon spawning and rips it apart.
Like a salmon spawning?
Then it takes a pirate sword and stabs high temperatures.
Hold it.
Aw, it was just getting good.
Folks, we designed a new air conditioner made to handle the heat and dust of Arizona summers. We call it the Grizzly.
Yeah.
Take it easy. It's tough as a grizzly, but gentle on your budget.
That pirate sword?
Before summer gets blazing, learn more about the Grizzly at AlaskanAC.com.
Celebrate the grand opening of Champ's Kitchen and Bar with exclusive $5 specials now through April 8th. Score $5 pizzas, $5 burgers, and $5 pitchers. Catch all the action at Champ's Kitchen and Bar at 7625 North La Jolla Boulevard before it's too late.
Savings. Now that's speaking the Lowe's language. And with My Lowe's Rewards, your savings just keep coming. Save money with member-only offers and earn points when you shop. More points equal more rewards just for you. Because Lowe's knows you earned it, literally. Learn more about our new loyalty program at lowes.com/MyLowe'sRewards. Program subject to terms and conditions. Points are awarded on eligible purchases. See lowes.com/terms for full details. Subject to change.
We're David and Greg Figueroa, founders of Melinda's Hot Sauce.
Customers say we've ruined all other hot sauces for them.
So, we're sorry.
For rocking your world.
We're sorry we craft hot sauces from fresh, hot, flavorful ingredients, while other brands just use dried spice dust and vinegar. So a moment of silence.
Set your mouth on flavor with Melinda's Hot Sauces. Find them at your local retailer or online at melindas.com. That's MELINDAS.com.
When you have sports mixed with your pop culture, along with humor and celebrity interviews, your earbuds are enjoying The Rich Eisen Show.
Kevin Millar, we're all paying rent in Ohtani's world, right?
And the Dodgers world. Game is healthy, game is good. And, I get asked a lot, is that good for baseball? Yeah, it's good for baseball. This is definitely the team to beat, because that should be your next correction, Richie, is this World Series a bust for the Dodgers and Dave Roberts?
Hell yeah.
Search for The Rich Eisen Show on YouTube or wherever you listen.
Cookie wants to be a professional wrestler.
I'm Cookie Serratos and I'm 11 years old.
She also wants to win all the medals. That's why Cookie and her family make every day count, squeezing out her best with Go-Go Squeeze.
Okay, Cookie, let's break for a Go-Go Squeeze.
Go-Go Squeeze Fruit on the Go pouches are a nutritious snack made from 100% fruit with no sugar added.
Go, Cookie!
Because when you nurture your kids, you squeeze out the best in them. Squeeze out the best with Go-Go Squeeze. Not a low-calorie food. Products range from 11 to 13 grams of sugar and 60 to 70 calories per serving.
DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
520-848-1290. 520-848-1290 is the number for you To get in on this program today, you can call us at that number. You can text us at that number. In fact, why don't you text app to 520-848-1290. I will send you a link. You can download our app and take Wildcats Radio 1290 wherever you want to go. In fact, if you go on to our app right now, let's see what we got up there for you. You can listen to yesterday's show. There's a little story on there about the Diamondbacks signing Jordan Montgomery yesterday. How about that move right there to kind of fortify the rotation? We had mentioned to you the starting rotation, the injury to Eduardo Rodriguez, who they're not sure how long Eduardo Rodriguez is going to be out. And so the Wildcats get a $25 million one-year deal with Jordan Montgomery. Again, this is free agency is a little bit different in baseball than it used to be, where all these deals and free agents were signed like in January and February. Now we're like 2 days away from the season, and you're signing free agents for $25 million. I mean, and not only just guys, but a guy who could potentially be at the top of your rotation for this season. It's nuts.
It's like the Kevin Durant or Aaron Gordon situation, right?
Yeah.
Where you leave a team and go play for the team that beat you the year before. Because he was
with the Rangers
for the Rangers last year.
Yeah, exactly. Also, how about last night in Tempe? Josh Doan made his National League debut for the Arizona Coyotes and scored not one goal, but two in the Coyotes win. We'll let you hear those goals coming up a little bit later. I mean, absolutely phenomenal debut for Josh Doan, the first Arizona-born and bred hockey player to ever play for the Coyotes. How about that? Obviously from the great Doan family, son of the legendary captain Shane Doan. The family was there in a suite. I guess they have suites at the Mullet because they were definitely in
small
one.
Suites.
Yeah. What a moment for that family and Josh Doan, who, again, has been one of the best players for the Tucson Roadrunners, a Tucson Roadrunners team that is the third best team in the Western Conference this year. I believe he's like the 17th player, if I'm counting correct, the 17th player called up this season by the Coyotes from Tucson to play, and obviously making his debut. And what a way. I mean, that's like, again, that's the equivalent to hitting 2 home runs in the big leagues in your Major League Baseball debut. And again, both of them were just savvy play around the net. It wasn't like Josh Doan was out there hitting zingers from 20 feet, 20 feet away from the net. I mean, just one play of the first goal was just a nice rebound right in front of the net. I mean, unbelievable shot. If you haven't seen it, you got to go check out the shot on the first goal. And the second one was just one of those guy in front of the net and deflects it in kind of thing. So again, but great start for Josh Doan in his National League debut, and the Coyotes win it last night over the Columbus Blue Jackets by a score of 6-2. Great stuff there. We'll let you hear those goals coming up, so stay with us as we take you right up to 6 o'clock tonight. All right, you heard Brian Jeffries talking about the scrum in the Arizona Wildcats locker room today in Los Angeles for one Caleb Love, who came over to the Wildcats from North Carolina. North Carolina is in this West Regional. They'll play Alabama in the second game on Thursday. The winners play on Saturday. Let's hear from Caleb Love on getting his new team to this point.
Star player for sure. He's definitely coming to his own this year. He's having a great year, one of his best statistics here as well. I mean, it's incredible to watch and kind of keep track of from afar after playing against him for a couple of years. But other than that, I mean, there's a lot of good players in that team, and one thing that we've done these past 2 games, try to make guys uncomfortable, try to make guys get out of a rhythm, and I think that's kind of the same thing for this game. I think that kind of speaks in general for all games. When you're going against a good, great player like that, you just got to kind of try to limit his chances. Yeah.
Over here in the fourth row.
for PJ. Arizona likes to go to Balo a lot, and they like to move the pace, fast pace, very well. For you, you got in foul trouble in the last game. What are some keys for you to be successful in this game?
Probably just not put myself in positions to get those early fouls and dumb fouls. You know, I do my work early and make sure I'm putting myself in positions to succeed, you know, fighting early and stuff like that. And, you know, just also, as corny as it sounds, sticking to your fundamentals, you know, not using your hands, using your elbows and forearms and stuff, and making sure you're not grabbing. All the stupid stuff that can get you those dumb fouls, try to stay away from that.
We'll keep it in the fourth row. Addison Kronbach here with Arizona PBS. This is for Chase and Joe. Kind of bouncing off that. Arizona plays at such a high level pace, like moving the ball up and down quickly. How do you guys kind of plan to neutralize like Kylan Boswell, Caleb Love, and those guys?
Yeah, just making things hard for them. You know, making sure they're not getting any easy looks. You know, making sure that we're closing out hard on them. You know, not letting them get in the lane. And then, you know, the thing is they got to guard us too. So, you know, making things hard for them offensively as well. And then, yeah, like I said, just making things hard for them and let them get some easy open looks early.
Yeah, I think what Chase said is, you know, hit it right on the head, is not letting these guys get easy ones early, because that's when, you know, a basketball player gets a lot of confidence. And those guys are, like you said, great players. So when you let a great player get confidence early, it's usually a struggle bus for the, you know, the defense. So we're just going to have to be locked in early and make sure that there's nothing easy.
Over here in the first row.
Anthony Vasquez, KTLA. Question for PJ and Joe. How do you think the team has responded after a sloppy end to the regular season and the ACC tournament to now playing in the Sweet 16?
Yeah, great. And, you know, it's funny, like you hear that a lot. Obviously, the last game we played, yeah, it was more than sloppy. It was terrible. But, I mean, watch that outlier leading into that, even though we had a couple losses at the end of the season. We were playing some of our best ball. And people tend to overlook that. We had won a good amount of games leading into the Notre Dame game, then had a couple guys out, and then also ended up having a tough loss at Wake. Even though going back and watching the film, our defense is pretty solid overall. They hit a lot of tough shots. So coming into the tournament, I think Coach said it the other day, I mean, we had a pretty quiet confidence about ourselves.
All right, those were the Clemson players. You heard Joe Girard there, the third, the transfer from Syracuse, as well as P.J. Hall, Chase Hunter talking about facing Caleb Love. Again, Clemson is Caleb Love is no stranger to Clemson, and we'll hear now from Caleb Love, who Clemson is no stranger to him.
I played them, and you know they always was physical. They're always a tough-nosed, you know, team. Well coached, you know. Obviously, I played them 3 years already, so I'm familiar with them. So I think we just got to come in, you know, ready to go, and it's going to be a competitive game. Coaches, you know, talked about it's going to be a knockdown, drag out, as far as, you know, the physicality, and you know, we can't come in, you know, thinking it's sweet. So I think we're ready to go. My mindset is ready.
What do you think the biggest misconception people have of you is?
I think me being a teammate. I think people, you know, think I'm maybe selfish or I only think about, you know, shooting the ball or things like that. But, you know, I really love, you know, my teammates. I really love it, you know, seeing them succeed, seeing them get better. And, you know, I think that's probably the biggest misconception of me. But, you know, I can't really, you know, I can't please everybody. I can't, you know, tell every fan about, you know, how much I love the game, how much I love my teammates, how bad I want them to succeed. And, you know, you're always going to have somebody that's, you know, thinking something of you or, you know, thinking something bad of you. So, you know, you just got to take it with a grain of salt and, you know, keep it moving.
Kylan said that though at times he might come off as the big toughie on the inside, the big softie.
I mean, that's my little brother. He probably, you know, obviously, you know, we got a great relationship, and so me and him definitely, you know, created a bond, and us working out each and every day together. He's got to know me, I've gotten to know him, and so yeah, I mean, I'm you know, I want to, you know, get that energy off on the court as far as, you know, being, you know, on the tough side or giving that energy to the team just to, you know, give a spark for them, but. Off the court, you know, I'm a loving person, and you know, I love all my teammates. I love, you know, my family, things like that, and so, yeah.
After Dayton, Tommy said that it was the Israel trip that he saw could have been potentially the turning point for this team in terms of chemistry. What do you say to that?
I think that he's right. You know, we created a culture starting in Israel, and I think, you know, he's done a great job at, building our culture each and every day. Out there, we got to, know each other really well. We was out there for about, I think, 2 weeks. And so just knowing that, we got to know each other. We got to know each other's backgrounds and things like that, what each other liked and what each other didn't like and what people went through. I think it was great for us. It was great for our team. And I think it's definitely built over the course of time.
All right, that was Caleb Love today out in Los Angeles. Again, he's played Clemson a time or two in his past. The time he was with North Carolina, gets a chance to go up against them in the Sweet 16 with a chance to punch a ticket for Arizona to the Elite Eight and put them one step away from a chance to go back to the Final Four, a place Arizona has not been since 2001 in Minneapolis, where they beat Michigan State in the national semifinal to get to the finals against Duke, a game that they lost by 10 points. And it has been a long time since they got to the regional final, which they'll try to get to if they can beat Clemson. Did it in back-to-back years under Sean Miller in 2014 and 2015, losing both of those years to Wisconsin. Plenty more to come, folks, here. DK on the Sports Tip. John Court is going to join us this afternoon. Arizona Gymnastics getting ready for their regional. Arizona football opens up spring practice on Tuesday. We'll hear from the head coach, Brent Brennan. Haven't even gotten to our question of the day. We'll get you that. It is Arizona Diamondbacks related. All of that and more still to come. It's DK on the Sports Tip. I'm David Kelly. You've got JW Madden. You've got Cricket. Be back after 5 o'clock. Cricket's got tickets. This is Wildcats Radio 1290.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic. With a collision in Oro Valley, McGee near Oracle on McGee, west of Oracle at McGee and Northern Avenue. And roadwork along Greasewood Road between Speedway and Ironwood Hill Drive will be complete at the end of this month. Expect some travel restrictions and possible slowdowns. And I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic.
This report is sponsored by Lowe's. Save big during MVP's bonus days at Lowe's. Buy one select DeWalt 20V Max tool, get one DeWalt 20V Max Power Stack Battery 2-pack free, a $179 value. Valid 3/18 through 3/29 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Can't sleep with this cold.
Honey.
Honey?
Honey, you need NyQuil Severe Honey.
NyQuil Severe Honey gives you powerful cold and flu symptom relief with a dreamy honey taste.
Feeling better, honey? Honey? I'll take that as a yes.
Try NyQuil Severe Honey for powerful cold and flu symptom relief. NyQuil Severe with honey flavor. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, fever. Honeylicious, best sleep with a cold. Medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Meet Cheryl. Hey. She's on vacation and lost in the moment. Unfortunately, so is her Chase debit card.
It's gotta be somewhere.
Maybe she lost it at salsa night.
These skirts should have pockets.
Or maybe she lost it at Pilates.
3 and 2 and...
But she's not worried. With the Chase mobile app, she can lock her card till it turns up. Tools that help protect. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
Southern Arizona Radiology Associates have been dedicated to providing superior images and quality care for the last 35 years. They're the one you trust when you need an X-ray, CT scan, ultrasound, mammogram, or MRI. They have locations in Tucson, Green Valley, and Sierra Vista. Ask your doctor to refer you to Southern Arizona Radiology Associates today. That's Southern Arizona Radiology Associates. Visit their website at sararadiology.com or call 520-335-6849 for more information.
Amazing food and drinks, our favorite new spot. We're so happy they opened. That's what guests are saying about Redbird Scratch Kitchen and Bar, a new locally owned restaurant on Tucson's northwest side, specializing in creative comfort classics and craft cocktails. Best known for juicy smash burgers, crispy loaded wings, street tacos, and specialty drinks. Everything made in-house with high-quality ingredients, chef-driven twists, and lots of love. Perfect for lunch or dinner, family celebrations, or happy hour with a friend. Fly over to Redbird on the northeast corner of Orange Grove and Oracle for some great food, great service, and don't forget to visit their website, redbirdrestaurants.com.
And this Friday, we have a sweet deal for you from Redbird Scratch Kitchen and Bar. You can get a $50 gift certificate for just $25. And this sweet deal will go on sale this Friday morning at 8:30 at WildcatsRadio1290.com.
Summer of 93, 76 days over 100. Summer of 23, the hottest on record.
We can't change the weather, but we can change your comfort.
Alaskan AC introduces the Grizzly.
The only air conditioner built for Arizona summers. It'll claw down hot temps.
The Grizzly.
This is getting intense.
It eats Arizona summers for breakfast.
Then it spits them out at lunch.
Wait a second.
The Grizzly claws the competition.
Tears them apart. Do another one.
Pounces on heat like it's a salmon spawning and rips it apart.
Like a salmon spawning?
Then it takes a pirate sword and stabs high temperatures.
Hold it.
Aw, it was just getting good.
Folks, we designed a new air conditioner made to handle the heat and dust of Arizona summers. We call it the Grizzly.
Yeah.
Take it easy. It's tough as a grizzly, but gentle on your budget.
That pirate sword?
Before summer gets blazing, learn more about the Grizzly at AlaskanAC.com.
KCUB Tucson, a Cumulus media station. We are the sports station that Tucson turns to for all the latest news when it comes to Arizona men's basketball, along with all the play-by-play action. We are Wildcats Radio 1290. Live from the CNWT.
From the what? Central Northwest Tucson, duh.
It's DK on the Sports Tip with your host, David Kelly.
Radio. Just when I thought I was out, they drug me back in.
Featuring J.W. Madden.
Don't tell me about flip-flops, man. I'm a native.
And Cricket getting you home with traffic and weather.
Camp on Melt Lemon, not in the left lane on the freeway.
Here we go! And now, a man who has not one, but 3 first names, David Scott Kelly.
We are a little under 24 hours away from tip-off in Los Angeles, the Sweet 16 of the NCAA men's basketball tournament. Arizona versus Clemson. It's a game you will hear right here on Wildcats Radio 1290 tomorrow. Our coverage will begin at noon with the Meridian Wealth Management Countdown to Tip-Off Show, 4:09. 9 minutes after 4 p.m. is your tip-off from the Crypto.com arena as the Wildcats try to advance to the Elite Eight. 520-848-1290, 520-848-1290. In the first hour, you heard from Caleb Love. You heard from several of the players from the Arizona Wildcats on Caleb Love. Later on in this hour, we will also get a chance to hear from Tommy Lloyd, get some of his thoughts on this game, this matchup. Also, Brent Brennan. We're going to hear from him after the first practice of his tenure as the head coach at the University of Arizona. So a lot happening. I mean, this is a busy time of year on campus. I want to shout out Arizona men's tennis. A couple of years ago, they did something that they had never, ever done, and that was sweep the LA schools here in Tucson. And this year, they did themselves one better. They went on the road last weekend to Los Angeles and swept the LA schools. Adios to y'all Big Ten traders. How about that for Clancy Shields' team, kicking those kids right out of the conference with a sweep on their home tennis courts. Arizona men's tennis continuing to roll. I mean, again, I said it the last couple of years. I mean, they are the upcoming program on campus right now. Arizona men's tennis under Clancy Shields. 520-848-1290. 520-848-1290 is the number to get in on the program. Some big news in college sports today. NCAA President Charlie Baker calling for a ban on college prop bets in states with legal sports wagering. Prop bets have kind of come into the limelight here this week as a result of a situation involving Toronto Raptors forward Jonte Porter in the NBA. Prop bets, it's short for proposition bets. Those are wagers not related to the final score or the over-under or anything like that, but it's more so how many three-point shots Caleb Love will make in a game. And there's some belief and an investigation is underway in the NBA as to whether or not Jonte Porter might have been involved in manipulating prop bets involving himself. He is not a forefront player for the Toronto Raptors. He is a bench player, and so as in a move to try to maybe get out in front of this, and you'll hear Tommy Lloyd talk about this a little bit later. But the college president, the new president of the NCAA, Charlie Baker, trying to see if he can get these prop bets illegal in college sports. Now, we have our segment, obviously, that we do best bets with the Desert Diamond Casino, the sports book. I don't know that I generally look at the line for the specificity of that every game. But I've never even, Jada, all season long, I've not looked at the props on any of the Wildcat players to even know what they are. And even Tommy Lloyd admitted somebody had to explain it to him.
Do you know what the first prop bet was?
Like ever?
Ever.
1986. Do not know.
1986.
Okay. Basketball or baseball or football?
The biggest sport there is.
Soccer.
No, NFL.
Oh, NFL, okay.
So the first ever prop bet
now,
was...
some people in Europe might argue with you on that, but they think soccer is way
we're talking about American betting.
Okay.
The first ever prop bet was, will William Refrigerator Perry score a touchdown?
Oh, gosh.
That was the first ever prop bet, DK.
The worst move in the history of sports by Mike Ditka.
1986. That was the first ever prop bet. And I remember it getting hot really fast because I remember 2-3 years later, the prop bets were, will Michael Jordan score more points tonight than the Super Bowl winning team type of thing. So I remember it in the late 80s getting pretty hot. But the issue here obviously being if you have the ability, like Mr. Porter, to manipulate the outcome. Now, apparently he claimed to have some kind of an eye injury. He was only in the game for 2-3 minutes, but everybody bet the under, and he was the most bet player among all NBA players that night with a full slate of games. Pretty sketchy when you're a guy who's not getting many minutes and can control when you go in and out of the game by simply saying, Coach, I have an issue with my eye. I'm having trouble seeing. Now, I'm not saying one or the other if he did have an issue with his eye. I'm saying that they came to find out that he's got some Discord servers where he talks a lot about financial stuff, and it's just and so the NCAA is trying to get out in front of it because, as we talked about pre-show, the biggest issue here is the people who are longtime decades ticket holders go to college athletics because it's on the up and up, because they're watching a competition that is yet to be determined. And prop bets can make it so that players with NIL money these days, DK, could do some nefarious stuff without affecting the actual outcome of the game or the line. So if it's as simple as a player's going to get 9 or more rebounds or less, and that player can effectively change the outcome of that by not grabbing their 9th rebound, that's a big problem. So I think the NCAA is really trying to get out in front of it more than anything that's going on that they're aware of.
520-848-1290. If you want to get in on any of that conversation, let's talk to Sam. You are on DK on the Sports Tip, Wildcats Radio 1290.
Hey, I just on that subject there, I do FanDuel a lot, and I will tell you that they don't let you do anything with college props in regards to players, which is probably a good thing. But anyways, what I wanted to call you guys about was one thing I noticed with the Pac-12, the March Madness, the tournament was, not the Pac-12 tournament, but the overall tournament was the different inconsistency of the refs. Or you watch Texas A&M and you watch Houston play. Man, do they let them play. And then you go to a team like Illinois, I think it was, where you had our ref from Pac-12 on there, Padilla, I think it was, calling everything. What I'm getting at is how much can that affect the game? Especially a team from the Pac-12 where, let's just face it, our refs are pretty light, pretty easy, and blown whistle.
Well, it's interesting that, Sam, I'm one of those people that I try not to get too much into that. Obviously, referees can affect the game. But I can't control it. The players can't control it. The coaches can try to, get out in front of some things by letting officials know, hey, this is how we may play this. This is how we may defend this. Kind of, coaches will say, well, look for this. They're going to maybe try to do this and that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. I think the people that govern officials, they've got the best ones that are out there refereeing these games.
Well, there's 105 refs that start. And just like the teams, they get whittled down and they get evaluated through the course of the NCAA tournament to determine who's going to be in the Final Four and beyond. So there is a process. I will say this. I think most refs at this level will tend to let teams play early because they're not trying to get those star players in foul trouble in the first 5 minutes. So they're going to let the teams be physical. Now, we saw this in the last game for Arizona. The teams were physical most of the game until the refs had a stretch where they seemed to call every touch foul. Now, what that was is some chippiness was going on between the players. So refs generally this time of year will let the players play until there's chippiness or extracurriculars, and then they'll start to call it tight. Those, if you're talking about Pac-12 refs who are just generally calling a lot of chippy stuff early, they may not make it through the rounds because I think at this stage, you really want to let the players shine and not have the refs be the focus of attention. And so most refs this time of year will let the guys be physical without calling a lot of touch stuff.
Good to know. And do you think Arizona gains from tomorrow's game by letting them play, or do you think that might hurt them?
I think they definitely gain from it.
I think both teams are very physical. And so what's going to end up happening is I think if it's in a perfect world in a vacuum, the refs will let these two teams battle it, especially down low, because that's a very, very physical Clemson team, a lot of upperclassmen as well. That's what they do. And if you listen to Coach Lloyd this week, that's what he's talked about is what jumps off the page is their physicality. So you have to imagine, but they're not going to let it get out of hand. So hopefully they let basketball in the court shine and not call too much chippy stuff early. But here's the thing. The refs the coaches and the players have to evaluate how the refs are calling it once the game begins.
Right.
So you have to change, not necessarily change your game plan, but if the refs are calling it really tight early, you have to switch it up and maybe not be quite as physical down low or in boxing out or whatever. You have to evaluate the refs and then go from there. So it's always a game-by-game situation.
Oh, good. All right. Hey, bear down, guys. Love the show.
Appreciate it, Sam. Thank you so much.
Bear down, Sam.
I was reading yesterday. They released the list. Actually, it was 2 days ago. They released the list of the officials who were going to be working this weekend, and people just started going nuts. I mean, I even saw a tweet from a city councilman, Paul Cunningham, who said Arizona is 3-5 when Tony Padilla is reffing. He's not a good official. This is Paul Cunningham, city councilman. There are only 36 slots, he says. Paul Cizik blew 4 calls when we played at home against Washington State. Worst referee I've ever seen. And then he's talking about a referee, Jeb Hartness. Jeb Hartness was on the crews that reffed the Houston, Texas A&M game, which was horrible. These were the comments of Tucson City Councilman Paul Cunningham when the list of officials were released. I just have never gotten into it. I don't, one of the first jobs I ever had, I worked for a man who said, because I was doing play-by-play, he said, do not get involved in the refereeing, what they're doing out there. You can't control that. Keep to the game, say what's happening, try not to have too much of an opinion about the officiating.
And obviously in baseball, it's a different thing altogether, right? Because
this was high school. This was actually high school football and basketball.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say, I know you did play-by-play for baseball, and in baseball, questioning, at any level is big no-no. Again, I think if you go into any game with the perceived notion that the refs are going to be against you and you're playing 5-on-7 or whatever the terminology you want to use for that, you've kind of lost it mentally already. You can't go into games thinking we're not going to get the calls. You have to just overcome whatever obstacles in front of you. It's just about winning, right? It's whatever it takes to win, whatever style you're playing against, whatever. And, Arizona has the luxury this year of having depth at every position. They got a backup center. They got a backup point guard. They got all of the things necessary. So you just play hard. You just play Arizona brand basketball, and whatever calls are being called, you adapt to it as it's going in real time. Saying that this crew or this person has a 3-5 record or whatever when reffing, Arizona's a losing record when they're the referees. You know, what teams were involved? I don't think it has, unless you're talking about Chris Paul's vendetta with a certain NBA official who he's never won a game when they've reffed before, you know, that whole story. You just have to adapt and overcome whatever obstacles are in your way, referees included.
One of the officials on this list is Michael Irving. U of A fans will know that name. He was the official that got into it 11 years ago at the Pac-12 tournament.
Touched the ball.
With Sean Miller. He touched the ball. He's reffed 4 games this year. This is Paul Cunningham again, our city councilman, Paul Cunningham. We might have to get him on the show. Paul Cunningham says Michael Irving has reffed 4 games this year, and the Wildcats are 4-0 in games that he's reffed. See, I don't even pay attention. Again, that's just stuff I don't pay attention to. Like, why? I mean, again, if that's your thing, if that's your jelly, you want to worry about, who's the 3 guys on the court are, that's great. I can't be bothered with who's reffing the game and what potential outcome that might have for the Arizona Wildcats. It's just it's too much. It's too much for me to be concerned with.
You got to play the game.
Yeah. Just play the game, and again, as my uncle used to say, you don't want him to call a foul on you, then don't foul. There you go. 520-848-1290. Cricket gets you home every 20 minutes on the 5s with your traffic and your weather.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic. With a collision in Oro Valley, McGee near Oracle on McGee west of Oracle at McGee and Northern Avenue. And roadwork along Greasewood Road between Speedway and Ironwood Hill Drive will be complete at the end of this month. Expect some travel restrictions and possible slowdowns. And I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic.
This report is sponsored by Audible. Come to Audible and discover the best selection of audiobooks without exception. Bestsellers, new releases, plus podcasts and exclusive Audible originals. You'll find everything you love all in one place. Sign up for a free 30-day trial at audible.com.
At Standard Restaurant Supply, their vision and #1 goal is to improve the lives of their customers and clients by providing a better culinary experience. Standard Restaurant Supply, if it's in a restaurant and not food, they have it. Open to the public, no membership fees, and they offer bulk store pricing without the bulk store purchase. Open Monday through Saturday at 601 South Cherry Avenue or call 885-2345. Standard Restaurant Supply is a proud sponsor of the U of A Radio Sports broadcast.
Summer of 93, 76 days over 100. Summer of 23, the hottest on record.
We can't change the weather, but we can change your comfort.
Alaskan AC introduces the Grizzly.
The only air conditioner built for Arizona summers. It'll claw down hot temps.
The Grizzly.
This is getting intense.
It eats Arizona summers for breakfast.
Then it spits them out at lunch.
Wait a second.
The Grizzly claws the competition.
Tears them apart. Do another one.
Pounces on heat like it's a salmon spawning and rips it apart.
Like a salmon spawning?
Then it takes a pirate sword and stabs high temperatures.
Hold it.
Aw, it was just getting good.
Folks, we designed a new air conditioner made to handle the heat and dust of Arizona summers. We call it the Grizzly.
Yeah.
Take it easy. It's tough as a grizzly, but gentle on your budget.
That pirate sword?
Before summer gets blazing, learn more about the Grizzly at AlaskanAC.com.
Honey, our yard's full of weeds. Looks like a jungle and the neighbors are complaining.
I know. I'm trying to get rid of them, but the product I'm using, it doesn't work.
Oh.
Not to mention, I don't have the time.
But it's not just weeds.
Not?
No, I'm seeing ants.
Ants?
Yeah, and spiders.
Ooh, spiders.
I know, and I think I saw a scorpion.
No way.
Yes way, and there's a pack rat in our garage.
Ew. Okay, I'll call University Termite and Pest Control today. We'll get rid of all of them.
Okay, honey, thank you.
University Termite and Pest Control, locally owned. Find them online at bepestfree.com.
Amazing food and drinks, our favorite new spot. We're so happy they opened. That's what guests are saying about Redbird Scratch Kitchen and Bar, a new locally owned restaurant on Tucson's northwest side, specializing in creative comfort classics and craft cocktails. best known for juicy smash burgers, crispy loaded wings, street tacos, and specialty drinks. Everything made in-house with high-quality ingredients, chef-driven twists, and lots of love. Perfect for lunch or dinner, family celebrations, or happy hour with a friend. Fly over to Redbird on the northeast corner of Orange Grove and Oracle for some great food, great service, and don't forget to visit their website, redbirdrestaurants.com.
And this Friday, we have a sweet deal for you from Redbird Scratch Kitchen and Bar. You can get a $50 gift certificate for just $25. And this sweet deal will go on sale this Friday morning at 8:30 at wildcatsradio1290.com.
I have got a sweet deal for you. It is coming up this Friday at 8:30 a.m. over at wildcatsradio1290.com. It's Redbird Scratch Kitchen and Bar. Redbird Scratch Kitchen and Bar, locally owned and operated, specializing in 100% in scratch-made comfort food and craft cocktails, all made in-house using high-quality ingredients and lots of attention to detail. Get this. You have an opportunity to get a $50 gift certificate for just $25. That is what we call a sweet deal. You can get this sweet deal on Friday morning, 8:30 a.m. on our website, wildcatsradio1290.com. Redbird Scratch Kitchen and Bar. Their menu was born from a love of classics like smash burgers, chicken wings, tacos, but they prepare theirs using inventive, chef-driven twists that include flavors ranging from Southern, Sonoran, Caribbean, and more. They are a destination for both lunch and dinner outings, family celebrations, a great place to catch the Wildcats in Clemson. They've got an array of TVs and a lively bar area, plus a patio and open garage doors to enjoy the nice weather. Again, this is a sweet deal. Sweet deals generally go on sale on our website. This one goes on sale Friday morning, 8:30 a.m., a $50 gift certificate for just $25 to Redbird Scratch Kitchen and Bar.
DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
520-848-1290 is the number to get in on the program, 520-848-1290. You can call us at that number. You can text us at that number. We have an active question of the day that is still in play, the one that we had from Monday. So that goes for, I think, about another 3 days or so. So if you want to vote on that one, head on over to our Twitter account at Wildcats1290. We'll go back to what we were talking about on Tuesday as I give this to you. It was, do you want to see Caitlin Clark win a national championship? Caitlin Clark, the star player for the Iowa Hawkeyes. Do you want to see her win a national championship? That is our active question of the day. Okay, you got it. Actually, it's really more like a question of the week because I'm going to give you almost the full 6 days to vote on that one since Caitlin Clark's got a number of games coming up. Right now, we're still at 52-48. 52-48% in favor of, yes, you want to see Caitlin Clark cement her legacy and win a national championship for the Iowa Hawkeyes. Head on over right now at Wildcats 1290. You can still vote in that poll. In fact, you got 3 days left, so that means you can vote through Saturday at about 3 o'clock. Do that right now. All right, yesterday was the start of spring practice for Arizona football, and practice number one of 15 is in the books. There'll be another one tomorrow, and then a third one this week on Saturday. 3 practices a week for the next 5 weeks, culminating with the spring game, which will be on Saturday, April the 27th. We're going to hear from Brent Brennan and Takario Davis, who spoke after the practice yesterday. And Brent Brennan, after his first practice, was asked what you've been up to because we haven't seen him since the first time he got hired. And what's it been like during this transition?
It's been crazy. It's been really, really fun. And it's been really hectic. You know, I think I've said it publicly a handful of times, but, you know, when I became a head coach at San Jose State in 2017, there was no transfer portal. There was no NIL, you know, so working through that with the roster that doesn't know you and doesn't know most of the coaching staff, there's been a huge emphasis on trying to get to know guys, getting to spend time with them and, you know, be in the be out in the weight room or, be out there during the run. And just, that's been a real emphasis. But it's been hectic, but it's been special. It's been awesome. It's a great group of kids here. So we're having a blast getting to know each other.
What stands out to you when you look at the leaders of the team and how they've been able to rally the guys over the last couple of months?
I think that player-led teams are really special, and that was evident with these guys. And the best teams I've ever been a part of were player-led, and they continue to lead when you're at the workouts or at practice today or in the meeting room or in the weight room. I think that part of it is really, really obvious, and they care a lot about each other. And the leaders continue to lean into that and get the rest of the team to lean into that. And if everybody will do that, then you can continue to elevate each other and collectively elevate the program. And I think that's what everybody wants to do.
Takari, you were a player that was in the portal, kind of up in the air, didn't know what you want to do. What made you come back to Arizona?
Just to give the new coaches like a shot to see. Like, I didn't want to just hop in there not knowing like it was really giving them a chance. You know what I'm saying? Like, because everybody stayed together like for the team and stuff. So I just wanted to be a part of something special and then stay together and stick around and see how the coaches give them a shot and see what it's about.
Your new quarterbacks coach, Chip Viney, he is a kind of a Dwayne Walker disciple. Did that have anything to do with that?
Yeah, like a little bit, yeah. Like just going back like my freshman year, got recruited by Dwayne Walker. And then he just like was also telling me good things about Coach Chip. And I also know like my high school coach know Coach Chip, and he was telling me also good things about Chip.
Are there any similarities with how they coach?
I could say yeah, but like Coach Chip is younger than Coach Walker, so he know how to like relate to us and all that type of stuff. But yeah, it's like you could tell like similar.